Welcome to the iPad Podcast, a weekly podcast from Mac's Future.
Okay, welcome to episode 106 of the iPad Podcast, and this is Lex at Mac'sFuture.com, and today is July 20th, Friday, July 20th, 2012, and this is a chit-chat-free podcast all about the iPad, and you can support it by going into the iTunes Store or the App Store and giving it a positive review so that other people can find it in this crowded space of podcasting. So thanks for listening, and let's get to it. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about are shared data plans. You know, like the iPad, particularly if you have a 3G or a third generation iPad with LTE, they can get data not just through Wi-Fi, but through cell phone data plans. And one of the things that really I've been waiting for is for the big carriers like Verizon and AT&T to go to a shared data model. And it would just not be for the iPad, but also for all the iPhones. So in other words, if you have a family and you have multiple iOS devices like the iPad and the iPhone, why not be able to share the data? You know, why is it that, for example, I have two iPhones in our family. We're grandfathered in. My wife has an iPhone. I have an iPhone. And we pay, on top of the telephone plan, $30 a month for the data each. Now, my wife barely uses any data. She'd be lucky to use maybe 300-400 megabytes of data a month. And, I use 2 or 3 gigabytes. But wouldn't it be nice if we could share? Like if I'm using a lot of data and she hasn't, maybe I could use some of hers. And the same for the iPad. Like, why should I pay a separate fee for the iPad? I should be allowed to tether. Well, Verizon recently announced that it's going to go to a shared data plan, that you're going to be required to hold new plans to go for a shared data. And now AT&T has done the same thing. It's going to go to it, although you can still go with the old plans. But I'm really, really disappointed with both Verizon and AT&T. Frankly, I think the government should get involved. There's to me, there's parallel pricing going on. They might not be communicating with each other, but the field is so concentrated that they're sort of shadowing each other. So the Verge.com has a story out. AT&T gets into shared data, mobile share plans coming late August, that outlines what AT&T has announced. So here's how it works, and it's the bottom line is they're kind of a ripoff. Okay, you don't really save much money. I feel like it's in a way kind of like a scam. Okay, so let's look at AT&T's plan. So AT&T's plan, let's say you have a phone. One phone, you have to pay for each smartphone. This is to get telephone minutes, unlimited telephone and text, and mobile shared data. $45 a phone plus $40 for 1 gigabyte. And if you want, I guess this is AT&T, the way it works is if you get more gigabyte and pay more gigabytes per month, then how much it costs to add each smartphone is a little less. So for example, we're looking at this chart. 4 gigabytes would be $70 a month plus $40 a phone. So let's just take my wife and I. I get a little bit of a corporate discount because where I work, it's a corporate discount. And we currently, I think we're only sharing 550 minutes, but we both have 2 unlimited data plans, and we don't pay for text. And it costs us about $118 with the tax and all of that. And look at this plan here. If we were to share 4 gigabytes, right now we get unlimited, and really it's 3 gigabytes each. If we went to that model with AT&T on the shared, that would be 6 gigabytes for $90 a month for the 6 gigabytes plus $35 a phone. So that's 2 phones. So that's $70, 35 each. Plus 90s, that's $160. That doesn't even include the tax and whatever federal tax there is and sales tax. So that's crazy. That's $160 plus tax, and I'm paying now $118 now for 2 phones. Now, granted, I'm not getting unlimited phone calls and unlimited texting, but I don't really need that. I don't need the unlimited phone calls. I just want to share the data. And frankly, they should be making voice over IP calls over the data, because I know you can do it with the iPad. And so they shouldn't even be charging you the phone stuff. But look how bad this is. Let's say I wanted to add a tablet. Each additional tablet is $10 per month. So that would be, okay, let's say I wanted to share 4 gigabytes of data. That would be 70 plus 40 plus 40. So that's 150, 160, 170 for my 2 tablets, 2 iPhones, and 4 gigabytes sharing. Now, it is cheaper than going to, I think, what is it, like Verizon for 2 gigabytes charging me $30 a month on my iPad, and AT&T, I think, $25. So that's $55. But then I have separate data connections from Verizon, and I get more data from AT&T. So look, the bottom line is this isn't such a great deal, and Verizon's isn't so great either. Here, let's take a look at Verizon's. Verizon's, you're gonna have to opt in, and that kind of concerns me. Because, I want to switch to Verizon, and I might be forced to do one of these sharing plans. So Verizon's plans start at $50 for 1 gigabyte and up to $100 for 10 gigabytes, while devices will cost between 10 to 40 depending on the type. Tablets are the cheapest, followed by laptops, hotspots, and USB sticks. And then feature phones and smartphones run up to like $40. So, I don't know. These are not great deals. I mean, you know what they should do? Here's what they should do. Forget the phone calls. I don't even want to make phone calls. I just want the data. Because, for example, Skype works well on data connections through the iPad. In fact, I've been calling people on Skype through my iPad through a data connection fine. So, I mean, what we need is a data model where, let's say we're paying $40 a month for 4 gigabytes and $10 for each gigabyte on top of that. And you can use it at no extra cost on up to, let's say, 5 or 6 devices at the same time. Who cares? The point is it's data. You're using 4 gigabytes of data. It doesn't cost them any more. So how sweet would that be? You could have 2 phones sharing 4 gigabytes and 2 tablets, and every time you go over $10, and frankly, you receive and send calls over voice over IP, and the same for text. And I think one day we'll see that world. One day, competition or the government or something's going to happen, because this model is unsustainable. What's going on is the carriers are ripping us off, and I really don't like it. And we should all write to our congressman. We should all write to our senator. We should all write to any government official you can to complain about what's going on. And we need to go to like pure data. Pure data. That's what we need. One of the big things going on today in the world is the iPad is being sold officially in China. I guess mainland China, and Computerworld pointed out that Apple's going to be using a reservation system for iPad sales to avoid skirmishes, that happen. Remember when the iPhone 4S launched in January in Beijing, there were eggs being thrown at the Apple Store because there were a lot of basic, people who wanted to sort of buy the stuff and then resell it at a higher price. So Apple's not allowing that this time. Instead, they're going to a reservation system, so that you have to have real ID and only one person, one iPad per person or something like that, or 2, so that it's more controlled. And And apparently, according to another website, thenextweb.com, it's working out nicely, and it is. But there's not sort of like the crazy madhouse stores, that madhouse lines that you had in the past. So it's saying here that on the nextweb.com that the lines are actually kind of modest. And that's because I think a lot of people just pre-ordered, and so the scalpers are being all pushed away. That's a good thing. And look, the bottom line is, by having an official sale of the iPad in China, it's really going to boost iPad sales in China, and I think it's just going to continue to the growth of the iPad and the ecosystem. China's a gigantic market, and the iPad's made there. It's only fitting that the iPad is officially sold there. And since Apple settled with that crazy company ProView that was suing it, it doesn't have to worry now about any sort of injunctions in China. Okay, so one of the craziest things that's going on in these litigations between Samsung and Apple occurred in England. This is reported by the Wall Street Journal. Apple wasn't able to convince a judge in England that the Samsung, the Galaxy Tab or something like that it violates the design of the iPad. And the judge basically said, look, Apple has a valid patent or whatever, or design, but that no one's going to mistake the Samsung Tab for the iPad because it doesn't look cool enough. But the judge is, I think, a little nuts because he's requiring Apple, which lost, to take out an ad to say that the Samsung Galaxy Tab does not copy the iPad. Now, I don't know if that's proper for a judge to do that because, in Apple's opinion, it does violate the design. And just because the judge ruled that it is not, Apple is entitled to have the opinion that it does. It's one thing to say, why don't you just, the judge could probably say, okay, just post the decision on a website somewhere so people know. But Apple's now being required to advertise in papers that the Galaxy Tab doesn't violate the design of the iPad. And I think that's improper. Apple's going to appeal the judge's decision. Frankly, I think that judge is a little, something like that I don't think would fly in the United States. So that's the problem when you sue in different jurisdictions. Judges around the world are all different under different rules, and this is one of the wackier things I've seen. Now, CNET had one of the more interesting stories at CNET.com regarding the history of the iPad, because I guess in that lawsuit, it came out what the original prototype of the iPad looked like, and there's a picture of it on CNET's website in the story that came out from Don Reisinger, July 19th, and it says iPad prototype had bigger screen, was a full inch thick. So if you're looking at the picture of this thing, so apparently it was like as thick as the old MacBook Pro, and basically, it was much, much thicker. And BuzzFeed originally published the photos, and it says here the prototype is staggeringly thick, nearly 1 inch deep. In addition, it is both wider and taller than the iPad 2. It's like 13 inches in diameter. So imagine, and it makes sense in the early days, it's probably hard to miniaturize something. So it's, it makes sense. It's, interesting to see what the original iPad looked like. It was basically 13 inches in diameter and much, much, much thicker, and probably a lot heavier. So obviously a prototype is just a prototype, so it makes sense it would be much bigger and much thicker than what we see now. Well, one of the things that we've been waiting for is for Microsoft to officially release Office, its suite of business apps like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, on the iPad. Now, other parts of Office have been released on iPad, but not the core programs like Word, like PowerPoint, like Excel. And now it seems that the next version of Office 15, is not going to be launched on the iPad like some people had hoped. And CNET has a little story here on July 18th, and it basically says that Microsoft unveiled its next version of Office this week. It was clear that the iPad will have to wait. It says here in an interview with CNET, Microsoft Office Division President Kurt Delbein said Microsoft's own Windows is the priority for the newest version of Office. The new touch-friendly productivity suite will debut on Windows 8, which launches in October, in large part because the operating system is the best showcase for Microsoft's application suite. He didn't say when there would be, when or even if Microsoft would release a version of Office for the iPad. So look, I'm not surprised by this because, look, Microsoft is trying to make its Surface tablet computers successful. And, Apple has a gigantic lead with the iPad, huge lead. So Microsoft's in a catch-22 place. On one hand, it's not going to rule out ever putting Microsoft Office on the iPad simply because there are so many iPads out there and it could make money doing it. But if you think about it, if Microsoft launches Office on the iPad, it sort of kills a lot of incentive that businesses have to go with the Surface tablet. Because let's face it, enterprise is mainly going to go to the Surface tablet if it goes there at all, if they go there at all, because of the Office programs, because a lot of people are like, oh, I've got Word at work. It's got to work with Word on my tablet and whatever. But I bet you if the Surface tablets don't quickly take off, and if Microsoft doesn't sell a lot of the Surface tablets very quickly, you're going to see Microsoft very quickly launching the Office 15 program on the iPad. And the thing is, there are other means to look and edit Microsoft Office documents and PowerPoints and Excel on the iPad. But it would be nice to have an official Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint program on the iPad. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Office 15 is going to be launched in October, and we'll see how soon after that, if at all, Microsoft launches an iPad version. Now, I mentioned before that the iPad is being launched today, officially sold in China, the third generation iPad. And GigaOM had a really interesting story on yesterday, July 19th, about one app in particular that's doing really well in the Chinese market in China. And that's Fotopedia, which is a great travel photo app, that shows you beautiful pictures for traveling. And GigaOM on the appleblog.com has interesting statistics. And apparently Fotopedia, even prior to this official launch, finds that a lot of its users are in China, and that China is like the fastest growing, heaviest users for its customer base. And it says here that Fotopedia, it's a great app, it's a free app, Fotopedia, has 12 million users in 160 countries. And its users in China, according to this article, account for 20% of the company's mobile audience, ahead of the U.S., and 13% in Japan with 10%. And basically, they saw a big uptick in use from China after the launch of the iPad third generation in March. And now they've apparently they're releasing a Chinese-centric iPad app for the Chinese market. So that's very cool. So this just, confirms what a huge market China is for the iPad. If Fotopedia was doing so well there even before the iPad was being officially sold in China. So I think this is a good sign for Apple. Now, we know a lot of airlines love to give iPads to the pilots to use in the cockpit, And we've seen this before, some airlines giving out iPads to the passengers. Zdnet has a story that trend's continuing with Qantas, the big Australian airline, is putting an iPad behind every 767 seat. So it makes sense. I mean, these iPads are better content consumption devices than the little video screens that they put in the back of seats. And it says here in the Zdnet article, as of May this year, there were 23 Boeing 767 aircraft, according to the Qantas site, each with between 229 and 254 seats, meaning that more than 5,000 iPads will be required to kit out the fleet. But apparently Qantas is reviewing retirement options for a few of the aircraft. So they apparently used something called the Q streaming service this year, which was a successful trial, and then they're also going to partner with Panasonic and use their EXW solution to provide 200 hours of on-demand in-flight content in their fleet. So, it's going to be interesting to see, how people like having an iPad in the pocket for each seat on an airplane. And I bet you this trend is going to continue, and we're going to start to see a lot of American airlines like Delta and American Airlines. They should. It's a great branding tool, and frankly, it's going to make customers and passengers happier because you'll get much better content. I mean, watching a movie from the video on the back of those chairs is terrible, And the other thing that stinks about the video in the back of those chairs, the buttons are in the back, and so when you press the buttons, you bother the people in the seat in front of you. If instead they just have everybody check out an iPad, have them come around with an iPad, you give your credit card as collateral, and you give them an iPad, and then when the flight's over, you collect the iPads. That's the way to do it. And so I think we're going to see a lot of that. If you have an Xbox and an iPad, you're in luck because apparently Microsoft has added support for the iPad and released an iOS app for the iPad so that you can control your Xbox. So Microsoft might not be putting Microsoft Office on the iPad just now, but it understands the importance of the iPad, and it's putting in a way to control an Xbox Live, Xbox with an iOS app. This is according to Apple Insider on July 17th. So it says that the app is a far cry from Microsoft's Smart Glass Xbox companion app, but that it still has like some value in controlling your Xbox. It says the most recent version, which is iPad compatible, there was an iPhone compatible version, adds the missing companion feature to the iPad, allowing users to launch games, browse Xbox Live content, play DVD or video, and navigate the console UI. Most of the Metro interface seen on the Windows Phone handset has made its way to the virtual remote control, though the iPad app's digital D-pad and Xbox-centric function buttons are all but swallowed by the tablet's 9-inch screen. But there's no AirPlay-like capabilities, according to this report from Apple Insider. So, look, if you have an Xbox and you have an iPad, you might as well pick up this free app. Okay, so sad news if you're a fan of the Sparrow app. That's the alternative email app for both the iPad, the iPhone, and also on the Mac. It looks like today, breaking news, that Google has acquired the Sparrow email Mac and iOS app, which I guess recently was going to do something with Google. So, they've been acquired, and, Google paid money for them. And, I wonder why Google's doing this. Some people think it's to basically make the Gmail app better for the iPad. But who knows? Maybe they're trying to sabotage Apple by taking away, good third-party apps. So I'm not sure. Will Google allow Sparrow to continue updating these third-party apps? And that's one of the things that's kind of sad, about these third-party apps that you sort of get attached to, like Sparrow. Someone can buy them, and then they're no longer updated, which is kind of too bad. And so we'll have to see. But if you have the Sparrow app, I don't think this is good news for further updates. Now, if you really are a big fan of editing or writing in rich text, good news for you. There's an app out for the iPad selling only for 99 cents called RichText Edit. And I was turned on to this from the MacObservor. They had an article on how this is, I guess, the first app that really lets you, do stuff in rich text edit. And so I have a link to that story, plus a link to the show notes for the actual app. So it's here it basically says here it's an introductory price of 99 cents. Create, edit, and share effortlessly beautiful, colorful, and elegant notes, stories, articles, blog posts, letters, mails, draft, paper, even poems. It says it's the first and only writing tool exclusively designed for the iPad that can import, edit, and save documents in RTF, or rich text format. It says rich text documents combine text with formatting information in a way that allows the text in these documents to use any mixture of fonts, font sizes, font styles. So it's really cool, and let's see if we could take a look at it. It looks very, it's for 99 cents, it's like nothing. Okay, so this is what Rich Text Edit looks like when you launch it. Actually, when you first launch it, you get a sort of instructions and overview on how to use it called Get Started, and it's very helpful. And what's powerful about this program is that it's built for a rich text edit format, RTF, but it can also handle other formats. And what's nice is they give you this overview instruction, plus they give you nice examples of different types of documents you can create. Here's a nice math sample that they give. As you can see, you can put in all sorts of complex math formulas, which I really like. Let's see, what else do they have? They have a paper. So, this is good for students. Look how complex this paper is with special, indentations and footnote formatting. So that's kind of cool. They also give, let's see what else, an ebook sample. Here's a Holmes ebook sample. Let's see what that looks like. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And you've got links, I guess. Does that work? To chapter links. And I guess, this is an easy way to create an ebook and then export it as such. Now, if you're looking at this, basically the documents are laid out as sort of squares, and you can sort by title or sort by date, which is handy. Now, in the settings area, you can link your program to Dropbox and your documents to Dropbox, and it's easy to do. You just press link and it does it. Or if you want to refresh the iTunes sync, also you can unlink to Dropbox, and also you can set up iCloud sync. Now, there isn't a Mac program called Rich Text Edit, and maybe there'll be one in the future, but so for now, there's only an iPad app, so the iCloud sync allows you to sync among different iPads. If you have more than one, you can set up a security passcode, you can send feedback, and you can also learn about Rich Text Edit. Now, here's what's cool. Let's open up a sample. If you want to edit, the keyboard has this cool function that we've seen in some other app that recently came out, where you can move the cursor right from the keyboard using this little trackpad area. So you can position instead of going with your finger to the word, and you can also use the arrows to go one word at a time. What else? You've got a nice wide selection of fonts in the font button, ranging from Academy Engraved all the way down to Zap Fino, and so there's a wide range of that. You've got a wide range of font sizes, and then you can also insert a lot of cool things like date and time, arrows, parentheses, punctuation, currency symbols. They've got wow, a wide variety of currency symbols. They've got pictographs, so you've got all sorts of cool little pictographs that you can insert, and a wide amount of bullets and stars. Wow, you have a lot of those. And then you've got a wide array of math symbols. So if you're writing some sort of mathematics paper, and letter-like symbols, you've got and then you've got emojis. You've got lots of emojis: nature, people, objects, places, symbols. So this is and then recently used insertions. Then you've got, of course, left justifies center, right, and underline, bold, and italic. So this is very comprehensive. Now, if you want to share a document, I don't think you could do it while you're in the document. Let's see. If you open up, you can't really share. You can go to full screen, which is nice. The other thing that you can do, which I found, if you swipe down from the top, if you touch the where the title is, you can edit it. If you go to the top, and I did this before, you get like these stats. I don't know how I did that. Maybe it's in a different document. But there is a way to tap on the top, and you get, I did it in the Get Started one, you get, no, that's not it. You get these stacks, like how many, oh, there you go. You got to be careful what you go right near the top. How did I do that? There we go. You slide it down. That's a little buggy. It'd be nicer if it worked more smoothly. It gives you the reading time, the sentences, the word count. In other words, document statistics. So that's very cool. Now, if you want to share a document, you go back to where all your documents are, and you click, well, that's to create a new document, the plus sign. But if you want to share it, you click Edit, and I'm going to click that and get rid of that new document. But if you want to share a document, let's say the math sample, I need to press Edit. Okay, so you press Edit, click the math sample, then press the arrow, and you can send via mail, send to apps, send to Evernote. You can print or select Don't Store in iCloud. Now, let's say you want to send it to an app. If you select RTF, which is in Word format, on my iPad, I can send it to a whole bunch of apps, including Goodreader, Quick Office. But notice, in RTF format, Pages won't import it. Now, if you select a text, Pages will import it as a .txt document. And also, it's very handy to have a PDF export. It goes into iBooks and a whole bunch of other PDF apps. And then, of course, you can also export it as an HTML if you want to create like a web content. And you can use things like Dropbox. So it's a very powerful app. And, I think it's very comprehensive. And for only 99 cents, I highly recommend it. I think it's something definitely to get, particularly if you're into word processors and you like RTF, rich text format. So thumbs up from Lex. Hey, so one of my favorite apps that came out a little while ago, it's really an iPhone app, but I'm going to show it also on the iPad. So it's really an iPhone app, but Propellerhead came out a little while ago with a great music app. And let's put it in this mode here, which is the vertical mode. I'm going to put it 2 times, but it recently got upgraded. And what's really cool about it is that they fixed a lot of the problems. Now, when it's called Figure, and I think it's only 99 cents, and it's a great app. But Figure, when it first came out, allows you to make like patterns and loops using drum, bass, and lead. And here, if you can hear it, here's something I wrote, and you can see the bass moving. And I'm going to stop it. And the beauty of it is you just put your finger and you move it around, and you can pick different bass sounds. You can pick different drum sounds, and you got different synthesizer leads. Isn't that cool? And the beauty is you could make these loops. Now, when it first came out, though, one limitation was you couldn't save the songs that you created, and you couldn't send them anywhere to be used. Like you couldn't, transfer them. They were only, so you could only have one song in and at a time, and then if you wanted to create another like loop, you lost it. Well, they recently updated it, and the big thing is now you can transfer, and you can save the little loops that you created, and you can transfer them. So let's see, if I want to browse here, I have some loops that I already created, songs, and I'm going to pick one and sample it there. And here's another one. And they'll show up. You can, I'm going to say, yes, I'm going to open it up. But you can transfer it through the iTunes. Like if you sync your iPad or iPhone with iTunes, if you go under Applications, you can transfer the songs. But they did other cool things. So other cool things, including now you have a choice of the loops. You can make them 1 bar, 2 bars, 4 bars, or 8 bars. But the beauty here is you can create different loops, and then you can make them slightly different and then save them and then export them to, let's say, your Mac, and then put them in GarageBand and create like your own song, assembling all the loops. So I think it's a huge upgrade, and I think Propellerhead, which has been around in the synthesizer world for a long time, is gonna definitely probably upgrade this more, and I bet you in the future you're gonna see other cool things. So I highly recommend this Figure app. I think it's really cool. So just to recap how you use it, when you launch it, you go to System tab on the bottom, and you can, create a new name, and let's say discard, and it just gives you random names. But now you can create your own name, like I don't know, I'm going to create test 1. Okay, done. And then let's say you go to patterns. So here's a drum pattern. You can, and I don't know if this was in before, but now you can just, there's some preset drum patterns and preset bass patterns and preset lead patterns. So I'm going to make this under a song. I'm going to make it 8 bar. This is going to be the longest pattern, right? So watch what happens. I go to record, and I picked, this is Northeast. So I'm going to pick the chord. Look at that. When I start playing, it'll start recording. So here we go. See? And it's a loop, so you can overlay. It'll just keep looping for 8 beats. So I'm just holding down the hats right there. But like you see now, whatever I recorded is there, but I can add to it and layer over it. And I'm just going to press some more. Here's some bling. Now, if I want to subtract, I press the erase mode and hold down on the drum that I want to erase as it's going through where it is. Now, if you look up here, this is where we are in the 8 beats. So anyways, I've got some sort of, now I put it back off of erase mode, and all right, now we can stop. But that's what I have if I play it. Now, let's go to another instrument, bass. So I'm going to just continue to record. See where my finger's pressing? It changes the pitch and the OW. I don't know what that is. And you can really do a lot with this app. You can really tweak it. For example, you can change the range. You've got these, and what I like about Figure is that Propellerhead didn't like just copy some, synthesizer that exists in the real world in hardware. They actually use the interface very well. So, for example, for bass, you can affect the rhythm. So I'm going to pull down, no rhythm. Here's a 1-beat rhythm. See? And then if I go to 2, that's 2-note rhythm. But I can go up to 7. Or I can go up to 12 or 13. And I can go to 16. Now watch this. I can change the presets. These are just different preset synthesizers. And here's a leader. And so you get a lot of flexibility with this app. Now, okay, now I'm going to record on the drum kit that I have. Sounds pretty cool. Now it loops over. Okay, now let's try the lead. So you got same thing, you got different rhythms that you can choose. So I've got a lot of flexibility. I'm going to go to 4 rhythm here. Range, I'm going to make it a lower range. And the scale steps, I'm going to make it narrower. So, I don't know, let's see, go down to 1. Let's make it 2. And I can change the synthesizer. Here we go, I'm going to record. So it's pretty cool. This is like 8 beats. I'm going to stop it. And then this is the unrecorded version. Now each sound you can also tweak. So look at this. For the lead, I can tweak this criteria from treasure, the sea, to battle. And let's see if you can test it in real time by playing and then doing the tweak. So you can tweak each of these things: color, calm, treasure. And let's try tweaking bass and distortion. See, you can hear it change in real time. So you can really tweak your song. But the beauty is now that you can save it. I'm going to save it, test 1. And I go into browse. Now you see I have test 1 there. And the thing is, you can create another version of this. Watch this. I'm going to call it test 2. And done. And I'm going to save it. But it saved the pattern I have before. Now watch this. I'm going to go in and I'm going to change that to 4 bars. It says sure. So I've taken what I've done before, modified it, and called it test 3. And I'm going to subtract from it. Watch this. Let's take I'm going to subtract under the record, I'm going to subtract some of the bass. How about that? Now watch. Here we go. And I'm going to use erase mode. So I'm see, I've subtracted some of it. Okay, now let's go non-erase mode with the lead. Maybe I affected it with the tweaks. There we go. Okay, so anyways, the point is now I'm going to save that, overwrite, yes. Now go back. I've got 2 different tests, test 1 and test 2. So look, I play test 1, it's a little different. And then I go to test 2, it's slightly different. But the point is you could arrange a whole bunch of different versions of the same song, then export them, assemble them in GarageBand. Now what I think will eventually happen is, I think eventually Propellerhead, this is very powerful. Propellerhead will make it so that you could assemble these different loops together in the app. That's what I'm hoping will happen. And I think, I think they did a great job. And so the new updated Figure from Propellerhead, I think, is just a great app to get. It's only 99 cents. It works on the iPhone. It's an iPhone app, but it's great on the iPad too, even at double resolution. So check it out. I think it's really cool. Okay, another app that people should consider for the iPad, which is free right now, is Diptic, Diptic. Here it is, and it's one of these. They have promotions in the App Store, and this one's free right now. And I think normally it goes for either $1 or $2 or $3, but it's a very nifty photo app, and it basically allows you to assemble photos together. So here's a look at it if you're looking at the video of this. And basically you get different layouts, and you can select. There are these different combinations of layouts. And so if you want to combine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in this free version you get a lot of templates. So look, it's very easy to operate, and it's let's pick I don't know, let's pick this one here, this template. And so now you've got these dice up here in the corner. Now if I don't have it activated, you have to have location services on, but it'll randomly go into your photo library on your iPad or iPhone. And this is universal app. It works on the iPhone and the iPad, and it's beautifully scaled. But if you press the dice, it just populates it with some photos. But you can just either take a photo or select from the photo album. If you're logged into Facebook, you can select from Facebook. If you have a Flickr account, you can select from there. So I'm going to just select from the camera roll. I've got some goofy screenshots. Here's a Hello Kitty. I'm going to put it there. Now look at this. You can easily resize it, zoom in, get it just like you wanted. And then I'm going to select another photo here, and I'm going to select this cartoonish thing, and I'm going to zoom in, and then I'm going to zoom in and select another photo. Let's see, what do we have here? A Barbie, and I'm going to zoom in on Barbie, and select another photo, and I'm going to select this drawing I made. And look, you can scale it. But then you've got also, let's say, effects, and you can change the borders, or you can tap to apply effects or filters to photo. So let's say if I want to change the border. Now this is kind of nifty. You can change the size of the border. Look at that. You can change the white. You can make the border black. I like black. You can, what's this? You can change the color of a particular photo of the border color. You can look at that. You can make it green. That's kind of cool. Now this part's cool. You can make the inside rounded. Look at that. And then you can also round the outside. So you could make the whole thing, not like a triangle. But I mean, this is very nifty. And then it basically exports it as a combined photo. So you can make really nifty, pretty. And it's a very simple app. There's a Mac version of this. Now for export, you can do high resolution or normal. I'm going to do high resolution. And then there's the share button. Now look how many places you can share it with. You can share it with Tumblr, Posterous, Twitter, Instagram, Flickr. You can email it. You can even save it. And you can also share it with other apps. So it's very, very powerful. It's called Diptic. And you can also, go and you can pay for in-app purchases to have more control. For example, it says here, expandable layouts. Diptic layouts are now expandable. Try moving the slider to customize the size of your Diptic. You tap or a ratio icon below to jump to standard or photographic ratios. And also you have complete artistic control of the dimensions of your Diptics so you can activate that with an in-app purchase. So you can adjust the overall dimensions. So, right now it's free in the App Store. So, maybe you should check it out. Like if you go back in, it remembers the photos you last used. I think it's a very, very good app. There's a good helpful hints in there if you press the information button up in the left-hand corner. I think it's well designed. I think it's one of the best sort of combining photo apps that you can have in the App Store. So check it out. It's called Diptic. So an app that recently came out on the iPad that's gotten a lot of hype is something called Trapit, Trapit. And this is, I took a first look at it, and it's supposed to be, another one of these sort of like ways to look at a lot of content on the internet. It says here, Trapit makes surfing the internet on the iPad easy, beautiful, and uniquely personal. Connect with long-standing passions and explore subjects. And basically, it says you can capture fresh content from an entire web. You can define subjects. And it's sort of like Flipboard. I mean, I think it's trying to be a Flipboard competitor. And you can share stuff with Twitter, Facebook. So it's trying to do a lot of that. It's trying to enter that space where it becomes your way to consume internet content. So we see a lot of sort of apps trying to do this for video, for news feeds, and Trapit, Trapit for the iPad is the latest. Okay, so let's take a look at it. I have it here on my iPad, and we launch it. When you launch it, you can log in either with Facebook, Twitter, or an email address. I'm going to log in with my Twitter. Got 2 Twitter accounts. Let's see. I'm going to do it with my Max Future account. And when you get into it, it's a little slow logging in here. Logging in with Twitter. There you go. So it immediately populates it. It's similar in some ways to Flipboard, but the way you move around is different. You basically have your traps, and I created one for Apple, and then within that you can sort of horizontally, it's like a channel, so I created like instead of channels, they call them my traps. So I created one based on Apple. There's it's a little confusing. So there's a little button, Teach Me, and you launch that, and it says, it gives you sort of an overview of, all the content relating to Apple that it's capturing. I'm going to go back. Now you can give it thumbs up, from 0 to 5, and I guess that makes it smarter. If I press this exclamation button, I'm not sure what that does. Now then you go to Trapit. It brings up the home, the menu, and I'm going to press home. I find it a little confusing. There is something known as featured traps. So it is a little bit like Flipboard. There are featured channels in Flipboard. And so here the featured traps are news, entertainment, lifestyle, health, science, sports, business, technology. Let's click technology. It's a little slow. The user face I find not to be as, as nice as Flipboard. I kind of find like Flipboard better. This interface is mainly these channels, which you are like, let's say horizontally across Facebook, and you scroll with your finger, or Google, and then if you click, the channels are listed horizontally below. You can get your other channels. I don't know. I just don't find the user interface to be that responsive or that quick as it is with Flipboard. Here's SOPA channel. And there's also a reading list. And again, I'm in a pretty fast internet connection, and I find it kind of slow to update the content. It's not really blazing fast. In fact, nothing's happening on the reading list. I press the button. Let's go back. Back to, I find it not, look, it's clearly not as quick and responsive, and maybe that's on the server side. So, I don't know. I'm not thrilled with it. I think it's trying to make a run at Facebook. Let's see. Okay, let's see if I'm in a story. If I want to share, let's see here's a story on Tesla. I can tweet it, I can send it to Facebook, or I can email it, or I can tap link to copy. If I guess that's added to my reading list. I see. Before, reading list is not something that they give you. It's rather you add stuff to your reading list if you want to read it later. So it's in a way, I guess I don't think Flipboard has that feature. So this is sort of like a Instapaper-like feature where you can save your traps to read later. Here's one. U.S. Senator thinks the DOJ should drop the ebook price fixing lawsuit. So I'm going to click the read later button. But I don't think you can read when you're not connected to the internet. Let's try a little experiment. Let me disconnect and see what happens. Okay, so when I disconnected from the internet, I could get the little summaries of the stories, but obviously I couldn't get the whole content. So it's not really like Instapaper, which just sucks everything and saves it offline for you to use. So I don't know. Overall, I mean, I think it's nice that they want to compete with Flipboard, but I think they have to make the responsiveness of the app much faster and much quicker. I am on a pretty quick internet right now, and I find the UI not to be as elegant as Flipboard. So, I mean, the idea is it's supposed to get faster and smarter as you rate stories, and you pick stories and you add channels and all of that. But I don't know. I just unless it's really working well and quick and responsive on my iPad, I'm not going to be thrilled to use it. So overall, it's free, so you might want to check it out, but I don't give it a glowing review overall. Okay, an app that's been out for a while on the iPad, but I only recently bought, and there's also a free version, is called Game Table, and I kind of like it a lot, and I don't know why I didn't come across it before. So there's a free version of Game Table that's ad-supported, and that was released on June 17th, 2012, and there's a paid version that's, I think, 99 cents for the iPad. And it's a very simple app, but it's very clever, and it's clever in this respect. Game Table basically gives you various board games. There's no artificial intelligence. It just gives you basic board games to use. So if you don't have a real board game, you can use it, and it has a lot of the sort of classic board games. So it has chess, it has poker, it has what else? It has backgammon, it has reversey, it has Go, and it has cards. So you could even play poker. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so this is what the icon looks like for Game Center, and it's very simple. When you launch it, it's very simple. You basically have these games. You've got a card game, like to play poker if you want, with chips. You got reversey, you've got backgammon, you got chess, you got checkers. Now here's the thing, there's no artificial intelligence. You can't play against the iPad or against the computer. But it's a good way to sort of, if you want to play a card game, you can play with other people. Now here's the card game one. And there's a little bit of an instruction. It tells you use one finger to move a piece around the table, use two fingers to move a stack, pinch objects to stack them, with two fingers slide a stack back and forth a few times, and double tap with two fingers to flip over a stack, double tap on an object to flip. So it's very basic. So for example, here you could play poker, right? So I could deal, and I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I think I'm doing it backwards. So here's 2 cards, 2 cards, 2 cards, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Now, I don't know how you would play in the sense that how would you look at your cards without the other people seeing it? So that's kind of an issue. But there are other card games that you could play where you wouldn't mind seeing everybody's cards. Or you could just sort of pass it around and use Scout's Honors not to peek on anybody's cards. So if I double tap there, I've got my cards. I can see them. Oh, actually, I didn't do 5. So I got to do another round of 5. There we go. But it is kind of handy. And then you've got chips. You can give out chips to people. So it's not automatic. There's no artificial intelligence. But, maybe if 2 people played poker, you could use it. Now you can reset the table just like that. And then you can switch to other games. And you can also change, let's see, close that. You can change the table to, I guess you have a couple of options for the table. This says poker. This is a different background. So you have basically three different backgrounds. But let's go to the other games. Like, for example, backgammon is basic backgammon board, and you can just move the little chips around when you use the chips for backgammon. You could also use this to demonstrate like moves, and if you want to roll the dice, you just click on the dice, and it's a board game. So instead of carrying a lot of boards around, let's go to the main menu. Here is checkers. So you can, let's see, change the table. I like that table. You basically have, I guess, 2 options. So look, it's very basic. You can move forward. There's no artificial intelligence. Here's another, if you're looking at the video of this, there's chess. So it's just a basic chess board. So it's very handy. It's only 99 cents. So it's really a handy way to sort of have a whole bunch of board games if you want to play with your family when you're on a trip or even at home. So look, for 99 cents, it's a very well working app. There's not a lot of glitches. It doesn't crash. It's not buggy. It seems to be really just a nice, simple game app that has like multiple games in it. Like I said, it has chess, backgammon, Go, reversey, cards, checkers, and I think I said chess. So check it out. I think it's very worthwhile. Okay, another app to mention is Vodio, V-O-D-I-O. And the reason I'm looking at it is it's the chosen as app of the week, the iPad app of the week. And I'm not sure if that's Apple's picking or I guess it is Apple's picking, but it's a free video app. In other words, it's an app that is like Flipboard for video, so you can find video content. And I guess it was updated in May. It's on version 1.7. It doesn't take up a lot of room. It's only 3.5 megabytes. And what does it do? Well, basically, you can create your own personalized video streams. It has a slick, intuitive UI, quick share of cool video content via Facebook, Twitter, and email, and constantly adapt into your personal taste. So I guess it's supposed to be, smart. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so this is what the icon looks like for Vodio. And you can basically select topics of video that you're interested in. So I'm going to click, you can select up to 5 topics that interest you the most. I'm going to click tech. I'm going to click news, I guess apps, movies, and what else? Viral video, okay? So then it's supposed to get smart. It gives you this sort of like analysis that's going on. If you're looking at the video of this, this is a little tutorial. You can customize your channels. It says in a tutorial, you can browse the videos vertically, browse channels horizontally. And so let's take a look at it. So You can, this is horizontal. You get sort of, this is more like a Flipboard-like look at the different channels. And then when you're in a channel, if you go vertically, you can scroll the video within the channel. So it's like a carousel. Like if you don't have the video version of this, it looks like a carousel. So you go through these different channels. Let's say I'm going to go to viral, and you can then scroll and see what videos you want. So I kind of like this interface. There are other video, Show Me, I think, or is another video app that's good. And so there's a lot of competition to sort of be like Flipboard for content. And this one is, content in the form of videos. All right, so let's pick a video. You can browse the video by going left, right once you're in the channel. And you can see who and when shared. And so let's just stop it. So you can, on the right of the movie, you've got the other videos if you want to pick through them. There's kind of hard to see because it's translucent. Share button. You click that, and you can share it by email, by Facebook or Twitter, and you can write a little comment. Let's see. You can also add to your watch later channel. So we've seen this before. And then what else? You can go to the next video by just pressing forward. You can also vote it up, thumbs up or thumbs down. And so look, it's like a basic video finding app for the internet. But I kind of like the interface. I like how you can quickly scope the different channels. You can add a channel. Let's see. You can also affect your profile. You can add your own accounts. You can add Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. So I'm going to see if I can sign in with Twitter. If it does the sort of automatic signing in. Oh, it didn't find the automatic signing in. What else? You can videos you shared with friends. You can take a look at that. I haven't shared anything. So, it's not a bad interface. I've used other video finding apps. Now, the thing is, Flipboard can now show videos too. So, what else? Under settings, you've got preferences. You can have sounds on or off. Keep playing in the background. Keep playing while in airplay mode. So it has airplay mode. Open the shared dialog when a video ends. You have continuous play enabled. Share your activity on Facebook timeline. I have that off. Share your activity on Twitter. I guess that will automatically send stuff to Twitter. I don't like to do the automatic sharing to like social networks because I find it kind of annoying when I'm following people. All of a sudden I get like automatic feeds of whatever they're looking at. And there's, the tutorials in it. So look, so this is what it looks like. And, it's not a bad video content finding app for the iPad. It's very responsive. It seems to work very well. I mean, you can flip through the channels very quickly, and then when you're in a channel, you can scroll pretty quickly, and it looks like the apps, the movies really quickly populate. So I like it. Overall, I give it a thumbs up. Okay, so that's it for episode 106 of the iPad podcast. I covered a lot of apps. I'm going to put some of these, apps that I discussed as separate videos on YouTube. So remember, you can help out this podcast by going into iTunes and giving it a positive review. And I'm going to try to do more app reviews like this. And so check out the YouTube channel, check out Tumblr, check out any other sources where this is posted. So thanks for listening, and see you next time.
This has been a Max Future production.